Hi, I'm Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. And today we're making salted caramel sauce. And I love to serve my zeppoli, my ricotta zeppoli, that you can find on another video with this beautiful salted caramel sauce that's absolutely delicious. So let's walk you through it. We're going to get a nice heavy pan, get a medium-sized pan, a little bit bigger than you think you might need. It just keeps things a little safe so things don't bubble up. If you've never made caramel, you know what I mean, or if you have made caramel, you know what I mean. So the first thing I'm going to do is put 1.5 cups of granulated sugar into a saucepan, 1/4 cup of water. This is known as the wet method of caramel making. And you can follow the different methods of caramel making and all tips and tricks on caramel on my podcast. I have over 50 episodes of my podcast. So you can, on all subjects of baking. So go to my website, gailsokol.com for that. 1.5 teaspoons, this is my trick. 1.5 teaspoons, pure lemon juice, real lemon juice. Nothing in the bottle, just put it in there. This is gonna cause a chemical reaction. It's not gonna go poof or anything. It's gonna actually prevent crystallization. So you wanna stir those 3 ingredients up. Again, this is the wet method of caramel making because it's a little bit more forgiving. The water actually helps prevent you from burning your caramel. And I put the spoon down. So once my sugar, my lemon juice, and my water are evenly distributed amongst themselves, stop stirring. And you want to get this on a medium to medium high heat. And I have a pastry brush dipped in just regular water that I'm going to go around just to wipe down any crystals that may form on the side. Now, I said that the lemon juice is a special ingredient because the lemon juice causes something known as inversion. Inversion prevents crystallization. And in order to make a crystal, if you've ever made like rock candy out of a super saturated sugar and water solution, you need one type of crystal to form a crystal like rock candy. Here we have 2 types of sugar. And you just saw me put in 1 type of sugar. So where's the second type? Well, the lemon juice is going to cause the breakdown of that sucrose. The granulated sugar is actually composed of 2 simple sugars, dextrose and levulose, or dextrose and glucose, same thing. And the lemon juice breaks the bonds. And 2 sugars that are different won't crystallize. So we will not get that grittiness in our caramel sauce. So I almost stirred. Don't stir. Put the spoon down. No stirring. And you want to make sure that you bring this slowly to a boil. And you're going to let this sit for 5 or 6 minutes until you get the color of light brewed tea. And again, there's some carryover cooking, so you want to be careful that you don't get this too dark. If you like your tea super dark, don't make your caramel that dark, because by the time you add other ingredients to stop the cooking process, it'll be way burnt, way overdone. So again, I may go around with a little bit of my water, and I'm going to boost my heat up. And you're going to see this actually come to a rolling boil. It's going to look like volcanic bubbles. I have a nice series on caramel on my podcast, Baking Radio, which you can access through my website, gailsokol.com. I have over 50 episodes of all subjects on baking. So you got to reach out and listen. They're really, really nice. So you can see I'm beginning to get some bubbles. Don't stir with a spoon. Don't stir, because any type of stirring can cause seeding or crystals to start forming and coming together. So you really don't want to encourage that at all. So you can see beginning to bubble. The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to reach 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the boiling point of water. And you're going to see a lot of steam come up. That's the water evaporating. And then once that happens, then your caramel is going to start getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So you can see this is our sugar dissolving, the water's evaporating. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and chemical bonds are being broken because of that lemon juice in the presence of heat, that inversion. All right, look it up. An acid in the presence of heat will break down sucrose into its 2 component sugars. Very cool, actually. A lot of science in baking. Even though this is not true baking, but it's kitchen science. So I'm just going to give it a little swirl to get that middle part dissolved. And again, if you swirl too much, you may start some crystallization, so not too much. You can see the bubbles forming. And as I feel that it's not over boiling, I'm going to turn my heat up even more to go from maybe a low to a medium high. And never walk away. Never walk away. If your doorbell rings, too bad. If the phone rings, too bad. You'll have a conversation another time, because you really want to give your utmost attention to this, because this can actually cause a severe burn on you or burn your kitchen down, and that's never good. So you really want to pay attention. You can see that our sugar's actually dissolving. We're getting this thicker and thicker as time goes on. This should take about 5 or 6 minutes. Shouldn't take that long. Again, it's going to depend on the temperature. I have an induction hot plate, so it will go a little bit faster, but it takes time, so be patient with it. You will be rewarded with beautiful, rich caramel sauce. And this caramel sauce can stay in the fridge for a couple of weeks. It's simply divine. And if it gets too thick, just microwave it for a few seconds. It's wonderful. It's always the thinnest when it's hot. So you can see bubbles almost volcanic at this point, and they should actually become even more volcanic. And you can see puffs of condensation come up every once in a while of the steam of the water evaporating. Once we get this beautiful light brewed tea, we're going to add a few ingredients to stop the cooking process. Usually that's what happens. You start with sugar and water and maybe lemon juice, and you actually create that caramelization and that caramel syrup, and then you want to stop it. If you don't stop it, you will burn your caramel. So we're going to use heavy cream. That's a very typical thing to use to stop the cooking process. And it adds some fat, and it adds some great mouthfeel to the caramel sauce. But I have done other things as well. I've added things like water, just plain water, fruit juice. You can even add a combination of an alcohol like bourbon and water and make like a bourbon caramel sauce. You just have to add it not on the heat because you don't want it to explode. So you can see everything now is really volcanic bubbles. The minute you see a hint of brown or light tan inside, know that you're beginning to get to the color you want. And I've gotten a little bit in the center, so I'm just moving it around a little bit. I'm not causing crystallization, don't worry, but I do see it starting. Once it starts, I'm going to turn my burner off. If you don't have an induction hot plate or cooktop, move it off the heat, and then see it? Can you see the brown? It's beginning to get nice and brown. It's just about there. I want it to get till a lighter brewed tea all the way around. It's just about there. Give it one more second. There is carryover cooking, so it will continue to brown. The longer it goes, the deeper the flavor until you get burnt, and that's never a good flavor. Okay, I'm basically there. Do you see it? You can see the brown. You see it's like golden. So I'm turning the heat down. And now I'm going to add 1 cup of heavy cream. If it's at room temperature or slightly warm, it's even better, because that'll prevent any type of overflowing. But it will get nice and impressive looking when you pour it in. So don't put your head inside the pot. Stir it very gently. Get a very long whisk if you have one, and just stir very gently. It will get very impressive looking and sputtery. And if there's any crystals or your caramel seizes up a little bit, and sometimes that can happen, just put it over the heat again and melt those down. It'll be great. Keep it going. And now I want to add 2 tablespoons of butter. That's unsalted butter. And the salted part, this is half a teaspoon of Maldon salt. And if you've ever looked at Maldon salt, there's all different types of salts. You could use kosher if you don't have Maldon salt. It's a little more expensive. It's actually the shape, if you look at each crystal, it's actually the shape of a pyramid. It's really sort of cool. So I'm just going to put that in there. About a half a teaspoon. And if you're on a sodium restricted diet, you can have that, or don't put it in at all if you don't want to. And that's your caramel sauce. That's it. So as it's very thin, but as it cools, it will thicken. So I can't wait to show you how I like to plate it. All right, I'm excited. Our caramel sauce has cooled and it's gotten a lot more viscous. And here it is. You can see how beautiful that looks. All right. So what I'm going to do is I like to plate it in a really sort of a very attractive way. So it's actually really, really pretty on the plate. So I made some zeppoli in a previous video. And these are beautiful ricotta zeppoli. So I'm going to put a few in the middle of the plate and show you how I like to plate these. So I just put like maybe 2 or 3 or 4, as many as you want, just to make it really a pretty presentation. That looks really, really nice. And then I'm going to take a small spoon. You can even use like a ketchup container, like a squirt bottle, but you really want to be delicate with this. Take a spoonful of your beautiful caramel sauce and just go around. Oh, look at how beautiful that looks. Oh, love it. So if you got this served to you in a restaurant, only you really made it yourself. Isn't that stunning? I think that's absolutely stunning. So this is my caramel sauce. You can serve it on anything you want. Ice cream, cakes, pies, cookies, anything you want where it would go as a nice combination. Beautiful chocolate cake, anything. Use it as part of a sundae. I've had so much fun making this caramel sauce with you, and it's so versatile, as you can see. So for more recipes and videos, please go to my website, gailsokol.com. Until next time.